For any of you folks who are watching this from afar, it's always hard to actually see what's on the ground unless you're there, but I want to show something. There's plenty of grass out here for our goats. There's plenty of grass untouched by the goats all season long. There's plenty of grass, there's plenty of shrubs, bushes, vines, trees, weeds, all kinds of plants for the goats. The problem is we don't have the zones fenced. Here are fence posts, but no fence. We spent a lot of money and a lot of effort on this. We only got a very little bit of help in comparison to what we already did. But in the bigger picture, there's a lot to do on 75 acres of land like this. There's a lot to do, especially with all the different projects we got going on and all. Look at the bahia grass here. These pines are excessive. They're growing up at a fast rate. A lot of them need to be cold. Get out of here, get more sunlight in, but this grass is not hurting. This is very rich soil here for the grass. This is all a goat paddock right now, and goats are not enclosed in here. The fence is around 90% of it, but there's another 10% that need to be closed. That's a rough number. And then there's some internal paddocks, so they can be rotated within this area. And you might ask, well, why don't you just do it? That's a great one, folks. Believe me, I'd love to just get up in the morning and do it. One thing is, coming out of the spring, I'm under huge pressure to plant seeds, get certain plants going. They're going to grow the crops that we will harvest to feed the goats in the winter, because none of this is feeding the goats in the winter, except some pine coal branches. They'll kill the goats if you feed them only pine. Too many tannins. Just pine's good, but not in excess. They'll chew the bark. So it's important to get the seed and to plant things, like all out here on this sandy flats area where I'm planting things. Here's where the hoop house is going to be. Everything there, right now the goats get to it and they're eating the tops off of it like last year, so there's no crop. There's nothing for the goats, after all the work too. All the sacrifice. I could have worked a job, I could have done something else with that time. This whole high meadow here, look at the grass up there. Bahia, beautiful meadows, nice shade, pine trees in here. We've thinned some out here, and we're going to thin a little more. Out here, this is all sand and this gravel, mainly gravel, pea gravel and river rock. But that's the sandy flats over there past those spools. That's where there's, a little bit of land for planting crops that can produce for the goats and for human consumption too. This whole area up here, we've changed plans because we didn't get irrigation up in time. Well, all we had to do was run up here, but we didn't have the money to run it up. So everything we planted in there died. All the young elderberry starts. So it's in limbo now, whether that's going to be on elderberry zone or not. Might just have to grow something, other things, other crops, different seasons in there. And right now we can just fence that whole end cap off, and goats can be in the entire end area right now. That's the goal. That's less fencing to get them contained. So the bucks are to remain at the Florida property, locked down all together in the smaller area till we can get a bigger area for them out there and rotate them out a bit. And then the does will be tight locked down in a small area, and then we'll finish out that whole big end cap, that multi-acre, multi-forage area there, and then the does will all have access to that. Does and a couple young bucks that aren't a breeding problem. Of course, the young does, so important to protect them from the mating. So the does will have plenty of area very soon. I will get on it. I've got the materials I need to close the loop on those, sort of. I really need a little build fence, but I can put some temporary polyethylene and 2x4 welded and other stuff up and a lot of more barbed wire to keep the goats contained in there. Anyways, I'm going to proceed on. I'm walking all the way back now to the Florida property to try to get some more does and walk them over here. In any case, I left my vehicle over there, so we'll see how it goes. And that's just what's happening right now. It's a major kind of crisis time, and hopefully we'll be successful in containing the bucks, because they can break out of there with enough determination. We'll see how they behave now that we remove the does, and try to placate them with feed and give them some peace and quiet, and hopefully they'll mellow out until October 15th.